If you look at it from a developer point of view, which I'll probably try to bring on the table here, I think we look at it more comprehensively, because when we are conceptualizing a project, we need to ensure that from our equity capital going in that point of view, we make a return which is higher than our cost of capital, which is both debt and equity. And then it is also something where all the risk eventually lies with us, right? So what all risk can we mitigate through contractual structure? How do we ensure that project execution is on time? All of these aspects is something that we first pay attention to. Then we look at how much is the total debt that we can raise in a project like this, depending on the nature of the project. So it's, for example, a merchant project where you do not have a counterparty, you do not have a longer term PPA or a longer term offtake agreement, then for example, a merchant data center project, for example, in that scenario, you would rather have lower debt, and then you would put in more equity capital because you're looking at a higher return also eventually. If you are doing a project which has a longer term take or pay contract, like a Google data center that you're building, in that scenario, you would, and you have a 25-year tenor as well. In such a scenario, you would look to an 80-20 debt equity ratio, and that, so on and so forth, take their structure on that front. Then comes the question of whether you go to, from an India standpoint, domestic banks or international banks. So we face this challenge when we are initially financing a large hybrid project, about 1.35, $1.4 billion debt raising. Nobody in India had raised $1.4 billion of construction finance from international banks. In this scenario, what we did was, given that the contracts were longer term in nature, and we knew that we are sort of the construction risk associated with this is similar to what we've already done solar and wind standalone. The technology risk was not that high. We were able to push through with, it was through during COVID, but we were able to get about 8 or 9 international banks. TBS was also part of that deal to come together and do that financing. We faced a similar question while doing Navi Mumbai Airport, for example. In that scenario, you do not have a long-term offtake contract. Somebody needs to take a call on Mumbai as a market, India, aviation, and all of those. It was a greenfield airport. So that is something that is more attuned to domestic bank financing, because they understand that market like at the back of their hand. So we took that asset to domestic bank market, the renewables asset to the international bank market, because then both for us, we were able to construct both assets at the same time. Now coming to similar question we faced when we had to fund battery projects, right? We didn't want to enter into a longer term PPA when it comes to battery projects. We wanted to retain the flexibility. So what we did was, we did a PPA with one of our group companies that is IG rated. And then we got initially a domestic bank to fund it. Eventually will come to international banks as well. So that is the way we've been looking at it. Every infra project that we have in India today, we think everything is bankable. Between the two pockets, there is a third pocket developing, which is the institutional capital. As more and more foreign banks start selling down our paper to other smaller international banks or to institutional investors, that creates that pocket for us for coming in. And I agree with the point that as we standardize more, we're able to raise more. So we actually do not we like bespoke equity. We don't mind bespoke equity, but on the debt side, we don't like these bespoke at all. We like things to be as standardized as possible. Then, eventually you want to get to the US scale where, MUG underwrites $40 billion and doesn't blink. So similar sort of debt sizes, if that can be done in India, you need to standardize and get there in that. And I think as of now, we should think of it more from a Asia standpoint, and then, yeah.